Time isn't real. By RDJ. Stop, please just stop. I whispered under my breath to God or anyone that would listen, my right hand covering my watch that was on my left wrist. Maybe if I don't look at it, it will stop, I thought. Have I completely lost it? Have I been drugged? I'm completely losing control, I thought. I sat down on the park bench not knowing how I got there. For a second it seemed everything was normal. From my park bench I looked around. People were walking their dogs, kids playing at the playground. Okay, relax, I thought. I looked down at the mess I had become over the last few days. I haven't been home, I probably lost my job, I can't remember the last time I ate anything. My clothes were 3 days old at least and I looked homeless at this point. But in comparison to literally going insane, I guess it wasn't so bad, I justified to myself. Things seemed to be settling down. Just then I looked up to the pond with a deep breath. No. Not again. The fear washed over me yet again. The duck stopped dead in the middle of landing on the pond, like a glitch in the Matrix. It just stopped. Like reality had taken a snapshot and replaced the actual reality with it. I looked around and yup, the lady walking her dog was glitching too. I didn't want to look, but it seemed my watch had something to do with all this. I looked down and the time on my watch had stopped again. This was the sign that the event would happen again. Everything that wasn't stopped dead in its tracks went into slow motion now. My watch started to burn my wrist and I felt lightheaded, my arm started fading in and out of reality. I was able to see through it to the other side, my whole body started to shift again. With a loud crack I was transported somewhere I couldn't explain or track. Random places and time every time. This is what has been happening for me for 3 days at least if I remembered correctly. In a bright pop of light I re-entered. But where was the question? I came to sitting down, there was lots of debris blowing around, yelling and screaming. There was loud beeping and electronic warning sounds. I'm on a plane about to crash, I thought to myself. I gripped my seat with one hand and tried to grab the oxygen mask that was blowing all around above me. I was able to grab it and put it on. Just then a passenger in his seat ripped out of the floor and flew across the aisle in front of me, decapitating a lady and impaling a man before bashing through the plane's wall. Blood was just pink mist at this point, painting everything around like a spray gun. The catapulted man created a huge hole in the plane's wall. I could barely see, the wind was so fast. I barely got a glimpse of outside, if only for a quick moment. The ground, or rather a mountainside, was quickly speeding up to meet the plane. I knew it was the end. Just seconds before impact I felt the burn on my wrist again. That split second seemed to have gone into slow motion. The nose of the plane was crushing into itself and the screaming bloodied people were flying through the air to meet it. Dead bodies bashing around from wall to wall, ceiling to floor, luggage swirling around hitting people like airborne anvils. Flames and explosions were already starting. Slow motion fireballs from explosions were cooking people. Just then the bright light came. With a crack I came to, sitting in a tent, still rattled and hyperventilating from the plane crash. What now? I tried to compose myself. The door was zipped up and I was sitting on a sleeping bag, a book by my side and a flashlight. I quickly patted myself down to see if I had any injuries from the plane crash. Turns out I was okay, other than the usual wear and tear I guessed. I figured it'd better unzip the tent door to get my bearings. I glanced quickly at my watch, it was counting regular time again. Good. I put my hand on the zipper and pulled it upwards. As the door fell open I found myself face to face with a grizzly bear. Bare teeth and roaring loudly, drool splashing around from its large fangs. It must have been there just waiting. I kicked backwards into the tent to get away. The grizz took a swipe with its massive paw at me, ripping the tent's opening. I grabbed anything I could to defend myself. The flashlight was the only thing there. I threw it at the bear's head. With an aggressive roar he lunged in the tent and bit down on my leg. I screamed in pain as loud as I could. The grizz pulled me out of the tent and started whipping me side to side like a rag doll. Like you see a dog destroying a chew toy. My blood was starting to splash all over me. I felt my bone break. He kept whipping me side to side then let go. I went tumbling and careening into a rocky pit. Thrown aside like I weighed nothing, my lifeless body skidded to a stop. Still screaming I looked over my shoulder desperately trying to escape. Clawing at the ground trying to pull myself. The grizz was on me once again. He bit into my ribs and I heard a loud crack, then pop pop. I could barely breathe, let alone scream. He lifted me up like the mangled corpse I was. And started to tear chunks out of my side, ripping flesh and tearing tendons snapping, blood pouring all over him and me. The crunching of broken bones grinding on their counterparts. I was just a lifeless corpse at this point, waiting to die. Just then a flash of light came. I thought it was heaven or whatever that white light I hear about. Just then, like in a blink of an eye, I found myself sitting in a car. The car had no top. A convertible. My hand was waving around at lots of people lined up on both sides of the street, American flags waving all around. People cheering and smiling. A lady to my right looked at me and asked if I was okay. I just looked at her blankly. Clearly I was a bit shocked. Then loud, bang. I felt an incredible headache, my head flung back and I went limp. Before it all went dark I heard one thing and one thing only. JFK has been shot.